down key bills to answering your life call-in questions. Senator Sawyer and David engage in meaningful conversations on the issues that matter most to our state. No matter your political affiliation, We're Just Saying keeps you informed and involved in the efforts to make North Carolina a better place for everyone. Welcome to the conversation.
Good morning, everyone. You're listening to We're Just Saying with Senator Vickie, Sawyer, and David. I'd like to be part of the show, 704-873-9929. Are you situated over there?
I cannot get comfortable.
You had like a last minute convulsion going on over there, moving your computer back and forth, adjusting your seat. I was like, are you good?
I did, and I feel very uncomfortable today. Maybe because I played volleyball again last night.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
So you went back for more.
I went back for more, and we played against these young, very good people who humiliated us. The best part was one of my friends, Kim. She's not necessarily athletic, but she's out there to have fun, and we all have fun. So instead of diving for the ball, she'll stick her foot out and kick it for some reason. But last night, when she stuck her foot out and kicked it, it slammed my girlfriend Candace right in the face.
Oh, no.
So although I may be a little sore today from our shenanigans last night, at least I don't have like a black eye or
yes, you didn't take one in the nose.
So you can see the level of skill that my team has when.
So is this co-ed or is this all girls?
It's co-ed. Yeah, it's co-ed.
Okay.
Co-ed beach volleyball.
With beverages.
They do have a beverage ability to purchase beverages if you like.
There you go.
Yes.
So you got smoked by the youngins?
Oh my gosh, yes. I should have known when the guy was like keeping score with his hands. He had this little tricky thing. I was like,
see. Now here's my thing. I enjoy sports, participating in sports and stuff like that. What I cannot stand is the person who acts like they're a professional.
Yes.
Who does hand signals and is saying these things. It's like why I don't play Texas Hold'em, like if I go to like the Cherokee or something like that, because you're always sitting there with some loser who's read, Doyle Brunson's book, and being like, you must be holding Jack 4 over there. Or what you got, Jack's like, why would you come over top like that? Like talking to you, like, it's like, bro, your money's in my pile. Stop trying to talk like like what you're doing. And it's the same when you play those rec league games. Man, when people take it so seriously.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, you're not professionals. You're not that good. Just have fun.
I definitely was not a professional or that good, which was evident last night when they just absolutely just decimated us. Although every time we did actually score a point, even if it was their fault, we were like, yes. It was like that was like the biggest deal. But yesterday, before that, I was in Winston at Independent Insurance Agents in North Carolina, their annual conference. I took off my Senate hat, actually had on my insurance agent hat, but there was a lot of folks there.
You earned your paycheck yesterday.
I am working, man. When you own a small business like you and I do, you always are striving for ways to improve customer service. And invariably, it's going to be AI and all of these emerging technologies. And if you're not there doing it, then I feel like putting your business at risk. Mm-hmm. So yesterday I went and nerded out about, and I won't talk about insurance and AI, but all kinds of cool different ways to streamline. So to make our insurance agency more profitable so that we can, deliver better customer service. And that was fun. It was fun to see what other agents were doing and everything, but I was supposed to stay last night, but I got the call that, they needed me for volleyball.
Yes.
So I had to come back down the road.
They had to have Captain Vickie.
But it's been a week though. Remember last week we were gone because it was ECU Parents Weekend. Mm-hmm. And we did it the best way possible, I think, after listening last night. We couldn't find somewhere in Greenville, North Carolina to rent. So we ended up finding a river house down in Belhaven, North Carolina, which is about an hour outside or east of there. But it was on the river. We ended up for 2 days crabbing and fishing. The girls all came to there, hung out, cooked big, huge meals. There were no
How
traffic.
fun.
No, it was like the best way to do parents' weekend because last night my friends who were there, they said, man, the restaurants were packed and the game was busy and we were just miserable and blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, yes, we did it. But that's why we weren't here last week is the ECU. And then you had your member guest golf
Yeah,
tournament.
I was playing golf
How'd you do?
badly. We didn't do awful. We finished second in our flight. And so which was good. But it's a good time. Because I've my next door neighbor plays with me. Nick.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, Nick.
Yes. Yeah. You've played golf with Nick.
I love Nick. He's got probably one of the quickest senses of humor and dry that I've ever met in my entire life. And when you put that on a golf course, it is a good time.
Yes, it is.
And you better not have thin skin.
No, you cannot have thin skin. You cannot have well, and Nick and I together, he's a very, very good golfer. He played in college. And so he hadn't played in 2 years. He literally hadn't picked up a club in 2 years. But he's got younger kids in dance, football, and everything like that. He's at that stage in life. Where I was when I went 2-3 years without picking up a club. And I've never recovered. My game is terrible. But he still just walks right out. Just muscle memory and everything like that. So he carried us naturally. I won a few holes. I did my part on a few holes, but we just got there to have fun. I mean, really, I don't have any expectations of winning.
But there's always that thought that you could, kind of like when you buy a lottery ticket, you're like, yes, I know I'm not going to win.
Could this be my day?
The day.
Could this be my day?
Before we get into the beginning of the week, I do have to tell one of my favorite David Coble stories ever. When we were playing in a golf tournament, charity golf tournament, maybe for the Mooresville schools, and I think you were having a great day with your driver. You had just bought a new one.
Tracks.
Obviously, something was going on. So he's just, you're frustrated. You're just frustrated.
As I tend to get sometimes.
So the guys always hit first, and then we go to the girls 2 seconds. So David was up there, and he quietly gets out of the cart. He takes his driver, and he does this Happy Gilmore swing where he runs to the ball and swings with all of his might. And he actually hits it really well and really far. And he was like, God, I should do that every time. It was just out of the quiet blue, out of the night, just bam, this bomb. And it was awesome. And then it almost made you more angry because you were just venting frustration and you actually nailed your drive.
Yep. And then I tried it again. It didn't work. It didn't work. So it was a one shining moment, but it was really, it's really fun to go out and play golf sometimes. And those tournaments are fun. But we had a good time, but it's, glad to be back today, but you had to be in Raleigh. You actually had to do the people's business this week.
Yeah. There was definitely some slap shots going around in Raleigh too. There were some Happy Gilmore moments going on in Raleigh. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So we have some things that we agreed on. We had some things that we didn't agree on. There's all kinds of rumors swirling around in the stratosphere around what we did and didn't do and why we didn't do it. So I will try to break it down for you in a fun and entertaining way. And I don't know that I really can.
Well, if anyone can do it,
you think we can do it?
Absolutely.
Which one do you want to do? You want to do the way you agreed or not agreed on first?
Start with the things that you didn't agree on.
I
think that's going to take longer.
Well, let me start. It was back in 1996.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, some of those things are like that because legislators that have been around a while kind of tend to carry a grudge like it has a handle.
Mm-hmm.
So those personality rubs don't always go over too great. I mean, and anyway, so what we didn't agree on is this one thing that's getting a lot of reverb out there, and it's Medicaid. And so I'm trying to explain it the way that I understand it the best. All my emails tell me that we are cutting Medicaid, that we are mean because we don't like the 3 million people who are actually on free health care in North Carolina.
Well, let's be fair, you don't. I mean, you don't. You really. I mean, you all are heartless. You don't like those people. Everyone knows it, Vickie. Come on. It's only your Democratic friends that have the heart for better.
That's
for people.
True.
It's only them. Even though it's the Republicans who expanded Medicaid in the first place.
Correct.
In the last cycle, but you all just hate those poor people.
Correct. And for everything that was the concern and deeply held beliefs of very many people who expanded Medicaid, this is kind of one of the reasons why. And at the budget time, there's something called Medicaid rebates, and that is the amount of money the state has to put in to make the whole program work. Well, the department has one thought of what that was, which is around 800 million. The General Assembly Fiscal Research, which is nonpartisan staff, has another thought about what that was, which, was about 500-600 million. So what we did back in July is actually pass $600 million for Medicaid. Now that's about, well, you're doing the math. You're like, well, that's only like 200 million short. And yes, I know I just said 200 million short, but it's only about 200 million short. Where is this other stuff coming from? Well, 500 million of the six was actually for Medicaid rebates. The other 100 million, the department, I don't know what they're doing with. I'm sure they've got an idea. I would argue that maybe they should put it over there so they could pay providers. But anyways, so it's not like we haven't funded Medicaid. We did, and we did it in July. But the department is saying, hey, look, if we don't get this extra 300 million, then we're going to make providers take a 3% cut. We're also going to cut out those weight loss drugs for Medicaid folks. So, go ahead, General Assembly, and get moving and going. So then the General Assembly folks are those in healthcare. Again, I told you I don't do healthcare, but they're coming back and say, well, first of all, that's extra 100 million that we appropriated. Why didn't that go through there? Second of all, there's like tons of paperwork and things that you make Medicaid providers do that is absolutely arbitrary, that cost these, primary health care physicians tons of just junk that doesn't need to be done. You should, and, look at reducing costs that way, which that's even a longer term thing than just needing the money. And then, so there's always this back and forth between the agency and the General Assembly, but the General Assembly has funded Medicaid. I keep on saying Medicare. Medicaid. They have funded it, just not to the level as what they had asked for. So October 1 is the drop dead date where the secretary is going to say, all right, we're going to start cutting back on the healthcare providers' reimbursements. And some people think that's political, like it's a political play, kind of like when the federal government shuts down and they always shut down, the parks first because everybody loves a park. Well, not everybody, but most people love a park.
Got to get that shot of the poor little kid crying outside Yellowstone that they don't get to go in and see Old Faithful or the Smithsonian or things like that. Yeah. Make it hurt.
I know. So there is arguments there back and forth where it's political. The secretary is saying, no, it's not. This is just what we're going to have to do. They said, well, look, you got enough money in there to run it. I mean, you don't need 300 million right now. I mean, it seems like
that's a fair point. Like, do they need that 300 million to pay bills for next week? I mean, it's like at what point is that like
there's 500 million that they got not enough?
I mean, really, shouldn't they like try to cut costs, burn through that, and then come back later and be like, hey, maybe we don't really need this right now?
Yeah.
I mean, how about spend what you got first, right? I mean, when my kids come to me and say, Dad, I need $5. Well, what happened to the 10 I gave you the other day?
Yeah.
Well, I still have 5 of it. Well, spend that, and then you can come back and ask me for 5 more, right? It's like spend what you got before you come and ask me for additional money.
And that was actually something that Representative Donnie Lamberth from Winston-Salem, who, if you know or met him, he is a prince of a man, an amazing legislator, head budget writer, former hospital administrator. So he gets the healthcare field, and that's kind of what he said. Like, look, just continue to roll as you are going, and surely that we will make a deal. And so we'll see where that goes back and forth. But of course, it's a talking point for those of folks who are not fans of the General Assembly. And one of the talking points and stickiness is around this. It's not that we can't agree on funding Medicaid. That's not the issue. But the corner offices have both came out and been basically talking to each other through press gaggles, which, that's always healthy. And so back in the day in 23 time machine, there was federal money that came down called ARPA money. And at the time, and a lot of times when there's tranches of federal funds that are distributed to North Carolina, the General Assembly, instead of having to come to agreement between the House and the Senate, they'll just say, House, here's your pocket. and you spend half. Senate, here's your pocket, and you spend the other half, and then it's up to the corner offices to figure out how they're going to do those expenditures. So at the time, there was agreement just like that. Hey, there's a bunch of money coming down. House, here's your half. Senate, here's your half. Well, at the time, Senate said, great, we're going to keep it, but we're going to invest into Children's Hospital to help out, and then NC Cares, which is rural health care. That was the agreement at the time. So fast forward, it's become very political, this idea of this children's hospital, and some of the folks in the House, in the rank and file, have made like political hay out of this. Like, do we really need it? Why do we need it? Da da da, and like second guessing all of the decisions that the corners have made. So I'm assuming the leadership is hearing that, and they're going, yeah, no, we don't need it. So basically, Representative or Speaker Hall is, questioning why do we need to, and he said and was quoted like, Duke and UNC Health have a lot of money already, and they're paying their players. They're, why do we need to subsidize for a children's hospital that has, when we got other hospitals across the state that specialize in this care? To the Senate's part, it's like, hey, look, we negotiated this, and this is something that we were going to do in good faith. We honored our commitment to you. You should honor your commitment to us. And so it's really has gotten into this thing. So when, in an effort to honor commitments, we sent over a Medicaid funding bill for the rebase, included the ARPA funds for the NC Cares and the Children's Hospital, and the House
said no.
No. Yeah.
Man, it's watching the sausage be made is never fun. So I think that we talked about the Children's Hospital on a show several shows back. I heard from some people because of a couple of comments I made, so I'm not going to go down that road again.
Oh yeah. Oh, speak of which,
I'm not going to go down that road again.
Yeah.
But I do see I see Speaker Hall's point, but I also see the Senate's point. It's
Right.
like, look, we had a deal. You guys got to spend your money the way you wanted. This is the way we wanted to do it. This is the way we want it to be. And, we had an agreement, like the horses left the barn.
Right.
Now I get, political realities, economic realities, things change, but the Senate, I think, has a very valid point in that, look, this should not be up for negotiation because you guys got to spend all yours. We didn't make hay over yours. I'm sure there's many a thing that could have not needed to be done with the House funds that could, why should we take the haircut on this side? I get that point. I really do. I think that, and it's always tough, I think, because when you're talking about healthcare, when you're talking about kids and everything like that, who doesn't want to help kids? Who can, nobody's against children's hospitals, right? Nobody's against giving, people care and things like that. The devil's always in how you pay for it, right?
Sure.
There's a lot of good things that you want to be able to do, but there's economic realities that have to be, taken care of. But I think to your point of, when you're revisiting things that were settled years ago, makes it very difficult to settle the things of now and move forward. So I think they'll figure it out. I really think they'll figure it out eventually.
I do think, though, it is a good lesson that maybe when it comes down to these types of funding decisions at the time, that we need to agree at the time instead of splitting it in half.
Yeah,
because then you have buy-in from both chambers about what you can do, and then that way moving
that's assuming
forward.
You can get it.
That's true.
Therein lies the rub. That's assuming you can get it.
That is true, and I think Senator Berger rightly so put the children's funding into the Medicaid rebase bill because there is so much pressure to get that funding done to make sure that we can continue coverage for those Medicaid populations, or at least the coverage will be there, but the healthcare providers reimbursement, that's the one that's at issue. So I understand. So he put that in there so he could kind of like go like, here you go, like this is something that's needed. This is honoring your commitment. Let's get it done. Senator Batch had tried to remove that provision out of the bill on the floor, and of course, as most any Democratic thing that comes up on the floor, it gets tabled really quick.
Really quick.
So
really quick.
That didn't happen. But so that is something that we agree on, funding Medicaid, just not the way or process it's going now. But I agree with you. These things usually work out. One of the things that we are doing is you'll have seen that the adjournment resolution was modified this time around. So we agreed on that.
There you go. Baby
That
steps.
that means
Baby
that,
steps.
so when we said that we were going to leave, we only allowed for ourselves to come back 1 day or 2 days a month. Or I think 1 day a month at the end of each month. Now we're going to be able to do like a 4 day session so that we can, because some things are like budget bills, or we had talked about some other things that are 2 day bills that we needed to address.
Yeah, because I was saying like some things have to have 2 readings and things like that.
Yeah.
You can't get them done in 1 day.
Yeah, exactly. So we've modified that for the end of October, November, I believe in December. So yay, we get to come back. And you know what else we get to not come back? When you said something, it sparked memory. So when I was in Raleigh, I'm surprised at how many people actually do listen.
Oh, really? Did you have another interaction with somebody that listens to the show?
About 4 or 5, yeah.
Really?
Interesting enough.
Were they yelling at you?
No.
Okay.
They were always nice.
Okay,
Remember,
well,
I'm a
that's good.
senator. They have to
Well,
be nice
that's
to
fair.
me.
That's fair.
But they do kind of mention, they'll be like, yeah, so I noticed you said this on the show the other day. It's like,
It's always loaded.
darn it, you're listening.
Yes, exactly.
So thank you for listening to our show, and thank you for
Absolutely.
communicating with me. And it was great to hear some good feedback. I got some great feedback that Danny Britt was on there, and a lot of several folks mentioned to me how that was very instrumental in listening to them when they were going through this.
That was really good because
Yeah.
like I think a lot of people have heard of what a magistrate is, but have no idea how.
Yeah.
Like, I really didn't know that much.
Yeah.
So it really was great.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then you want to talk about another thing we did not agree on?
What's that?
Okay. So there's this great bill out there. I know a lot of our friends in law enforcement. I heard from our trooper friend of mine today or yesterday about it and the concern, but the pay for certain professionals in law enforcement have really been undermarketed for a while. So there is a Back of Blue, which is looks at trying to help out those folks who work for the state that will increase their benefits so that they, could be more competitive, because we are losing them to like the state law enforcement versus county law enforcement versus city. There's always this pay disparity there. And so you'll see folks who go from one to the other and jump back and forth. And so you'll hear sometimes from sheriffs that, it's hard for them to retain and keep people because, they're getting hired away from the city of Charlotte, or they're getting hired away by the troopers, or vice versa. So there's always that conversation. So this was an effort to kind of write that, especially with our folks who work in prisons. They've been like overlooked for far too long. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they work there, but God bless them that they do. And their pay has not been right sized in a long time. So that's something we were working out. But again, the House didn't agree with the Senate provision that was put in there. Just one, I think.
What was the provision?
Well, and I kind of understand their point on this one. So we are responsible for state employees. We're not, as a state government, responsible for county employees. The sheriff's department, who I love our sheriff dearly and have a great relationship with sheriffs across the state, there was a provision into giving them a bonus for their employees, a one-time bonus. And the House is like, hey, look, we love our sheriffs, but it's not the state's role to compensate county employees. It's not. Mm-hmm. So you're breaking a long-standing tradition of, that could open a slippery slope between state employees and county employees. Mm-hmm. And so that was, I think, one of the things that was a concern of theirs. And so that bill.
What about municipal police departments?
Yeah, I think so. Let me see. I can't remember if it has all of that in there. So it had $3,000 would be paid over a 2-year period to state and local law enforcement officers. The first $1,500 would have been given in November 25, and the second in November of 26. Mm-hmm. So, so that I would assume that it would be the same. But so that was just like kind of that break in.
Well, and I do see that point. I mean, again, you always want to try to take care of your sheriff's office, and your local police departments and things like that. But there is a way to do that. Local governments fund local police,
right?
And there's a way for that's. I agree that should be a local matter. I believe that should be a county commission or a city council to do that, because that's who funds them.
Yeah.
Right. And, I think that, putting state, again, you want to try to get things like that for the employees, but I do see the concern of it being a slippery slope is, hey, look, we're setting a precedent now that we're going to fund,
Mm-hmm.
local folks when, as a general, we don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I can understand that. Again,
Yeah.
I mean, good intentions,
Absolutely
absolute good intentions. I mean, it's not nobody being nefarious, but there's only so much that you can do and things like that. So I understand that.
Yeah, I know.
get
So
that.
it was back and forth, but at least, I mean, thank goodness for the Senate for putting it together and pushing it forward. And
Yeah.
I know that we'll see what our folks
Well,
in
it's
the
always
House
the
will
little
do
provision, right? It's like the bulk of the bill, everybody pretty much generally agrees on, like 99.8% of the bill, but it's that 0.2 amendment, the structure that gets thrown in. Oh, by the way, let's throw this, let's throw this, let's throw this. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, time out, time out, time out. So it seems to me that's what it always is.
It always is that one little thing, is it not? So yeah, so we'll see how it works. And thankfully in October we'll be coming back. So we'll hopefully get.
So is that an end of the month thing? End of
yeah,
October?
I believe so. Yep. Yeah, it's in the adjournment resolution. So the last week of every month. So yay, I'll be celebrating Halloween in Raleigh, I guess.
Well, I mean, I guess there's worse places.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
there's worse places to be, I guess. Maybe not. But you don't have trick-or-treaters anymore or anything like that. Like your kids don't dress up and
I
go
know,
out
but I like the trick-or-treaters to come by the house.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I'm a full-size candy bar kind of
girl.
You
strike me that way. You strike me as the full-size candy bar kind of person. You
Got
really
to. Yep.
Well, it's so funny because it's like, when I saw my wife was telling me on Pinterest the holiday calendar came out or something like that. And October or Halloween is considered a holiday. And I'm just like, since when is Halloween a holiday? I mean, growing up, I went to school that day, went trick-or-treating that night, and then I was back at school the next day. And now this new soft generation, man, they get the day off and they don't have, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like, come on, man.
You are such a fun police. What is wrong with Halloween?
I have no problem with them having fun, but it's just to me, it's just kind of like, okay, it's just a little silly to me. Halloween's not a holiday.
So you don't want to be invited on our couples trip to go to the haunted woods in Hickory?
That's fine with me.
Okay.
I don't have school the next day. As an adult, I can do these things. It's kids that are supposed to be in school. And it's like, and plus when my kids aren't in school, I'm stuck at home with them in the middle of a work day. And it's like, okay, I'm trying to work, which I do work. Despite rumors to the contrary. And so I just feel like Halloween shouldn't be a holiday. That's just my thing.
Right.
You're listening to We're Just Saying. We'll be right back.
Kids across America are going to school hungry. Millions of kids every day. But one simple thing can help change all of this for a hungry child in America. Good, healthy food and the energy it brings. With help from caring people across America, No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. To learn more about ending child hunger in America, go to helpnokidhungry.org today.
We all want more of a North Carolina. More boundless views, more adventures in the outdoors, and more clean roads to get there. But to get more, we have to do less. Less littering, that is. Make it your nature to trash your trash and keep NC clean. And we'll all have more reasons to love North Carolina. Litter less, get more. For more on the 7 outdoor NC Leave No Trace principles, visit OutdoorNC.com. Sponsored by the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters and Visit North Carolina, a part of the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina in cooperation with this station.
We all play a role in keeping our community safe.
Every day, we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good, others not so much.
But that's life.
It's when something doesn't seem quite right that it's time to pay attention.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Bravo, Brenda. You've always been a saver. Price matching your price matches. The self-proclaimed queen of extreme couponing. But this time, you've truly outdone yourself. By saving for this electric vehicle, you're locking in up to $1,000 a year in fuel and maintenance savings, which will leave you saying, cha-ching, every time you unplug. Good for your wallet, great for the planet. That's the power of EV. Sponsored by the NC Clean Energy Technology Center and the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters in cooperation with this station.
In the fight against Alzheimer's, now is the moment we've been waiting for. With new treatments emerging in the fight against Alzheimer's and all other dementia, now is the time for hope. Now is the time for action. So get out, get moving, and join the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's on Saturday, September 27th at Liberty Park in Mooresville. Join the movement at alz.org/walk.
Sawyer and David, like to be part of the show, 704-873-9929. So yes, before the break, I was saying I didn't think Halloween should be a holiday. Yes, I also think the same about Valentine's Day, though it's a general rule, kids don't get off school for Valentine's Day. So that's good. But no, I think Valentine's Day is a scam. I always have. There's, just the way it is. I just think it's a scam.
Yeah. Isn't there like a breakup thing where people break up like between November and then they don't come back together until like after February 14th or something like that? There's a trend for the kids.
That is trend. So you avoid Christmas presents and Valentine's Day.
Yes. And Thanksgiving with boring family.
Exactly. Going to the Thanksgiving with the girl you're dating currently or the guy you're dating currently. You won't be in a few months. That's always. I had to do that during high school because I had a long-term girlfriend, so I always had to split the Thanksgivings, and it was just always like, ugh. But it was fine. Her mom was a great cook, so I didn't mind so much. Much better person than her daughter, but we won't go into that.
Yes, let's not bring up old stuff.
Yes, old wounds.
Hey, but speaking about wounds, that's not a good. Let's not. Yeah, that wasn't a good transition.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not a good transition to talk about. We're not going to talk about reg reform and wounds. Now it might be boring, but it's not wounding.
No, it's not. I have been doing so good on my transitions too. I totally screwed that. Something's off today. I'm not comfortable. Something is off. I don't know. I'm just not bringing it like I could.
It's okay. It's you'll rebound. You'll rebound.
I can't be perfect all the time.
I know, right? There's so few of us that can. I mean, it's a burden you don't want, Vickie. I just want you to know that you don't want this burden.
I could imagine. Well, we will say the annual reg reform bill did get passed, and so this is when we have one bill, and you hear from all over the state different things that may be difficult for businesses or people to get through with government. So like a lot of times it's usually with zoning or permitting or wastewater management or all these other things that you look and go, why is there a law that makes us do that? And then Senator Moffitt and Senator Jarvis will say, that's a good question. I don't know why. And so they'll put it in the bill and try to hash out with the House, like things that it will make our lives easier by getting government out of your life. And so that is the purpose of reg reform. And it has been contentious because I think in some regards, putting all of those into one bill is it's hard. It makes it harder to pass. And sometimes I argue that maybe we should have bust it up a little bit so that we could kind of have conversations about these zoning bills and stuff like that. So we could get other things that aren't as, like you said, it's that one little thing that you could get other things that are important to get passed instead of like holding up other stuff. But anyway, so that got passed. There are a couple things in there that municipalities aren't going to like, and we were looking at it in regards to development. But the one that's the biggest one that I think it's pretty cool. So our very own Statesville had this issue with Camping World. 4 years ago? Oh
yeah, the big flags.
The big flag. And so the big flag conversation came up because in Greenville, North Carolina, where I was just last week, they have a Camping World. And at the Camping World, they have a big flag. And the local governments didn't like the big flag because it is outside of their ordinances for signs, and they were considering it. This is why government stinks. So they were considering it a sign, and then you have to have all these rules around that. So now the provision says the American flag is not a sign. It is it's a sign of our country and freedom and love and everything that we hold dear in our heart. So fly that big, beautiful flag.
Good.
So we
Good. I never understood the fight around that. I always thought that it was just absolutely silly. I understand the need for regulations around signage and flags. I mean, you can't have a flag that big flying over an intersection or impeding with people's ability to drive. I get it. But on a big pole away from everybody, just flying over there, like, why does it matter? Why is this the hill we choose to die on? Right. It's like, to me, if I had been, if I'm in a local government and this comes up, I'm just like, this is a losing battle.
Right.
This is not a fight worth picking. The juice is not worth the squeeze. So just change the ordinance and exempt the American flag from that, or put some additional rules around location or positioning. There is a way to get around this without going to war and getting it on the news and everything like that, because no local government's ever going to win that argument. You're not, even if you win, you don't win.
Right.
Because now you're commies. And it's like you hate the American flag and you hate America. It's like, don't pick these fights. It's not worth it.
Well, no, City of Statesville figured out it wasn't worth it because those big, beautiful flags are
still there. It's still there.
And I think we got a few other, but they're beautiful for me when I'm going down I-77 and I see the American flag. I love it. Even, I love it. I think it's so cool.
Well, and that's the whole thing. It's like, and for the people who hate it, go some other place.
Yeah.
You know what? Look at your phone again, because you've probably been looking at it the whole time on the road anyway. But just don't look at it. But it's just like, the American flag is just different. It's just different.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that's in there. Hopefully, but as sure as the world, there'll be another just ridiculous fight that's going to get picked on something like this, and you guys are going to have to pick it up again. But reg reform time is always reg reform is my favorite bill.
Is it?
Reg reform is my favorite bill that you all do.
Okay.
Because it is the legit opportunity for policy nerds like myself to be able to talk to my senator, for example, and say, hey, did you know that this is a requirement? Did you know that this, that, and because when you dig, ordinances are hundreds and thousands of pages, right? And so when you dig into those, there are things that don't make sense. There are things that are ridiculous. There are things that cost extra money. There are things that are completely superfluous and serve no purpose whatsoever. And so you try to work, through, local governments, things like to say, hey, look, can we change this? There's a practical impact here that is not good.
Yeah.
You can't get it changed. And then finally, I can always count on the state to figure local government's overreaching. It's always easy. It's never a hard conversation to talk to a state rep about local government overreach. So that's always my favorite time, but it's more about policy for me, because I really enjoy digging into policy. Because it's amazing how many times you talk to an official like, well, did you know this? I had no idea.
Right.
Well, and you guys can't be expected to know what's in the bowels of ordinances and
Sure.
statutes and things like that. So that's actually my favorite bill, though. That's the fun one.
Well, glad to know that the reg reform is your policy nerd.
It's my favorite bill.
Your favorite bill. Well, there's a lot of other things that were in there that I wish could have stayed, but like anything, there it's on for the next time, right?
Yes.
So,
well, there'll always be opportunities to reform regs.
Oh wait, gosh, I know with the Chevron doctrine thing though that happened. That's so exciting. I don't know how that's actually working now. Like it was a year ago that the Supreme Court had overturned the Chevron, less than a year ago or something. So that basically, like what you're talking about and what we were mentioning about with the Department of Health and Human Services that make these providers do all of these kind of wonky things to check off a box to get reimbursed. State government, federal government, even local ordinances, those things are written by folks who aren't elected, right? And they're enforceable almost like a law. And so with the Chevron doctrine, at least the federal level, they're like, hey guys, that's not what people, you can't be exacting this kind of rule over people enforceable as if it's a law unless the people have voted it on it or the people's representatives have approved it. And so there was just all of this, just like tons of craziness. And like you think about EPA and, those kind of things that they set up these regulations that really have hindered things. And thank God for Donald Trump for busting through that. And you know what else he busted through this?
Oh, that was so good. It was so good. You talking about him at the UN?
Yes.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. How petty do you have to be to turn the escalator off?
He goes, all I got from you was, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like, he's like, I come to the UN, you're in my own country, and the only thing I get from you is a busted escalator and a broken teleprompter. I'm like, oh my God.
It was supposed to be a 15-minute speech, and he spends like the next hour just lambasting the UN. It's like, I put a proposal forward to completely renovate the UN General Assembly building. It was going to be a beautiful building. It was going to be fantastic. It's only going to cost $500 million. You all redid it for 2.1. It doesn't look near as good as it would if I did it. And I'm just like,
there's no
I
goal.
love it. Here's what I think is so funny is that at some point in time, you have to acknowledge, okay, you cannot troll the ultimate troll.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. There is no way for you to win against this guy because you try crapper like this, and it had to be intentional. All right, the teleprompter maybe a glitch, the escalator not so much. It just happens to go off right when he and his wife are getting out. Come on, right? But the UN is filled with petty individuals.
Yeah.
But it's like you're not gonna win because like on TV he just lambasts you. And even the people that can't stand him are kind of like, still kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, UN is in New York and they take up a lot of valuable real estate and do not pay any taxes.
Right on the river.
And cost us tons of money.
And they don't pay their parking tickets.
Yeah. And they log jam the city every time they come in. I'd be like, I think we're going to move you guys. Like, you know, I mean, we don't really have to. I mean, how disrespectful. Okay, just any tongue in cheek, but how disrespectful is that? If you like the guy or not, he's the president of the United States.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that his stuff is working.
Yeah, and you count on him, and you count on us to fund like what, almost half the UN or something like that. I mean, it's basically all our money, and in addition to their free rent and board.
When he went off on the like, I've solved 7 wars, or did you remember that part?
Yes.
And you people, none of you helped.
None of you helped.
Didn't even lift a finger. I was like, oh my God. Some of these they said they would never be done. I just loved it.
Well, I love that but his first term, I'll never forget, he came into the press office one time. And he played a video for the press of like all the things they were saying that turned out not to be true and everything like that. And there was this one Washington Post, I think, reporter who had been on MSNBC and had said it, and he showed the clip of that guy, and then he looked down at him and he goes, "That's you right there. That was you." Like pointing at him, because they just hate his living guts. But anyway, back to what you accomplished in Raleigh. Also, but one good thing that y'all did agree on was Arena's Law.
Yes,
a lot of national attention to that.
Good. Yeah. And, actually, Vice President Vance came, flew into Concord and did a press conference in Gaggle. And, he was the sweetest thing. Did you see where that little boy who just wanted an autograph from him? Did you see that part?
I did see that. That was
the sweetest
awesome.
thing. It was this like 7-year-old little guy, and he was like, hi, and as ask a question. It was just kind of,
it was kind. I mean, I love that because it didn't. Sometimes I think a lot of politicians get, and I'm sure it wears on them to be in front of people and on all the time. And I think a lot of times, I love it when a special national politician show a human side. And things like that. I always enjoy that. So that was all, but that kid's got a memory forever. I mean, forever.
So sweet.
It's going to be awesome. But it did get, I mean, it's great that y'all passed this on the cashless bail and things like that. Cause I think as we saw, with, when we had Senator Danny Britt on and heard from him, there was a lot of opportunity for improvement.
Yeah. So one thing that they said was cashless bail, which was really interesting to me that Senator Britt had talked about, but also had heard from later on in these conversations, is that there would be magistrates who would say, okay, you promised to come back to get your sentence. You promised to come back.
Pinky swear.
Okay, here's a paper. Pinky swear on this paper to me that you will come back, and then we'll make sure that I'm sure, since you're a criminal, you would never lie to law enforcement. And obviously, so that was what the cashless bail thing was. It was that they would just write a little note, or however they did it, to say that they would promise to come back with no way to enforce that, because there's no money on the line and there's no bail bondsman going to go out to go track you down. So that thing is a thing of the past. They also set up and kind of grouped a bunch of violent offenses and named them, that those are ones that magistrates cannot do anymore, that has to be judges. So there's a little bit more oversight there. Remember, Danny had talked about how, even though the chief judge actually appoints them, but you can't really fire them for their behavior. So now they're, I think they're like, smaller things like that you would maybe charged with instead of large like murder trials and stuff like that. So that's really good. Now this one was interesting to me because I don't understand the hubbub about it. And I'm grateful that Senator Berger did this, but on the floor, he proposed an amendment, or actually passed an amendment, that would basically say North Carolina still has a death penalty. That did not change. You can still execute someone by lethal injection. That did not change. But what he did say is that if a doctor is unwilling or will not do lethal injection, then they can do a firing squad or figure out electric chair or another way of executing the death penalty. So back in the let's see, this is actually one of the Mike Easley and attorney Cooper at the time kind of colluded with this thing about like staying the death penalty. And basically, I may get this wrong, but the medical board said to their doctors, or maybe they sued the state or attorney general, that this is a violation of their Hippocratic oath, so that they have been charged to do no wrong. So based on that, the medical board told their doctors that if you administer these drugs, then you're in violation and your license could be put on the line. So really, that I think there's over 100 people on death row in North Carolina now, and they are just been in the system waiting for their
Well, and
justice
also
to
bear
be
in mind,
served.
Mike Easley was governor in what, 1996
I think so. Was it Mike
or
Easley?
something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it went from Easley to Bev Perdue,
that's right.
and then Bev Perdue to McCrory. So I mean,
Right. Yeah.
you're talking a long time ago.
Yeah.
And these people who had been sentenced to death are still sitting in jail.
Right.
I mean, we're almost 3 decades removed
Mhm.
from this. So 30 years.
Mhm.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah. Right. And then think about the families and the justice and all the stuff that are outside, you know, that are the victims' families who have been waiting for this justice to be enacted. And yet these folks are getting a free pass. So that was the amendment that Senator Berger had put in, and it makes sense to me, right? It makes logical sense. Well, it did not to the Democrats, and they were very, very upset. And some of them walked off the floor and refused to vote for the bill.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I mean, they, yeah.
but no, I mean, so just take out the policy of it. If I were the parents of Irina and I saw that brutal murder by that person, would you not also be advocating for the death penalty?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so then you get through this and you have this horrible event that was a life-changing event. And then for the next 30 years, that creep gets to live rent free in our jails, and my tax dollars is paying for him while I'm still sitting here waiting for justice to be served for the brutal murder of my beautiful daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that, I mean, just on an emotional level without thinking about policy, that stinks.
Well, and I think the challenge for me always is that the whole purpose, of incarceration, right? The underlying premise is that over a certain period of time, a criminal can be rehabilitated, right? They can change. When you have cold-bloodedly taken the life of someone else, there's no rehabilitation to be had there.
Right.
There's you have lost the ability to make it right because it can never be made right. You have permanently removed a life and snuffed it out. And that is a crime that is so heinous and is so awful as to why do we, I mean, there's some people who commit murders at 20 years old and they stay in jail. I mean, they have life without parole, right? I mean, you're going to die in 50 years after having X amount of tax dollars spent on you, or then. And it's like, you're never getting out. You're never going to re-enter society. You're never going to be a productive member of society. There's literally nothing more. Your life no longer has the ability to contribute at all. From a societal standpoint, right? And I'm deliberately looking at this from a legal, societal standpoint. We'll move the moral, religious objections to the side just for the moment. And so what is the purpose of continuing to do that when somebody who's committed a crime so heinous? It's like, why? And so I don't have no issue with it. I do think it was an interesting end around, but I do think that it's I do think it's awful for those people who were given the death penalty and have been waiting and waiting and waiting, resign themselves to it. And, maybe some of them are, hey, this is great. I've been living for 30 years and no big deal. But some are like, when does the shoe drop? When does the shoe drop? When does the shoe drop? Regardless of what they did, that's kind of inhumane in itself to leave people in limbo like that for that long, my opinion. But I'm glad that he did that. I'll be interested to see if Governor Stein signs it.
Yeah.
Because I know he's going to have some political pressure not to.
Yeah. Well, I know he was asked about it, and it was interesting. He said he's still reviewing the bill, which we'll see what happens. But yeah, so I think it's something that was a move in the right direction, and it's what folks are wanting for us to do is to bolster our laws to make sure that laws and law enforcement and folks like this justice can be served. And that's kind of one of the small tenets of government. I mean, the biggest tenets of government is is the protection of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys are coming back end of October.
Mhm.
Like between now and then, are there meetings that you attend and stuff like that? Or is it basically you're just trying to let the corner offices do their thing and and you guys show back up to figure out what they've done?
Yeah, that's kind of going to be the thing. So those folks who are lobbyists are probably going to be busting down staff doors everywhere you see, and those folks who have got their name on bills, so there'll be all kinds of movement underneath the surface that will be continued to work. But yes, if you have something in a provision, obviously you're going to be up there asking and advocating and for your provision as well. So I don't know. I mean, there are some bills that are still left out there that really do need to be handled. Like we said, Back the Blue is one of those. Medicaid rebates is another one of those. We've passed a mini budget just recently, so we did agree on that. There were some funding commitments that we had done before for some economic development projects that needed to be funded again, because we don't have always have a budget, but we don't have like new non-recurring money that doesn't roll forward. So things that we had committed for before did get funded in this past time. So I'm sure there'll be other things that are floating around there. There's always the fun ABC bill that everybody gets their,
oh yeah,
that
the ABC omnibus. That's always the fun one.
Can we just not privatize that? I'm so sick. It's like
I just want a happy hour.
I don't
want a happy
get
hour.
it. I'm so like, what are we talking about? This stuff like what open on Sundays, not open on Sunday. I mean, just like, you can
sell this liquor in grocery stores, but you can't sell that liquor.
Yeah. I mean, there's always these fights because there's so much money behind it. And it's like when you guys want legislators to make business decisions for you, you're going to get a really crappy result.
Yeah.
I mean, you are. I mean, it's not that, I mean, business should handle itself. And I don't understand why I do understand why we continue to do this stuff, but yeah, I think it should all be privatized.
So do you have any other legislative priorities, like big items, like
I'm just going to try to stay out of trouble, man. I've been in trouble a lot lately, so I'm just going to try to stay out of trouble.
You do. See, that's the problem is when you've gone, and this is always the big challenge because you all go so long. So first of all, we need a constitutional amendment that mandates you guys are out July 1st, like South Carolina has.
Yeah.
South Carolina, you either get it done or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And you are out, constitutionally mandated to be out. I think it's like the 1st of June or 1st of July. Out. You have to be done.
Good.
And so you guys need that, first of all. But you guys spend so much time down there. And then when it drags like this, all of you get very persnickety. You all get very persnickety, and you get very, very tired and done with it. And I get it. But it's like because I can imagine you get up in the morning and you're like, I cannot believe I have to drive to Raleigh.
Yeah. Yeah,
I can imagine it's bad.
It can be. I mean, yeah. You just have to find the joy.
Yeah,
you just have to continue to find
that joy.
I just imagine like when I'm in those
Kamala,
moments,
find the joy.
I find the joy. I think of sweet.
By the way, have you seen her on these shows talking about her book?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, man, we dodged a bullet.
She said, like, oh my God, what did she talk about Pete Buttigieg? That he was great and she loves him, but because he's gay, that she was afraid that would bring her down. And I'm like, yeah, I think you basically picked someone else that was way worse than Pete Buttigieg. I mean,
here's the thing.
Which I was like, then she just right there, that's kind of like classist and homophobic and all
if
that
you heard
other
her
stuff.
explanation when she was challenged on it, she was like, well, no, what you have to understand is that we only had 107 days and we're dealing with Donald Trump, who has no floor, so basically it's like, I couldn't do that because basically Trump is so awful and what he would say about it. And I didn't have enough faith in the American people not to be able to say, oh, well, we don't care about that. So it's like, but not only was she dealing with the racists because, she was an African-American, well, she's not African-American, Haitian candidate, but a woman of color. We're dealing with the racists. Then we have to deal with the bigots if I have Pete Buttigieg on there. So I just couldn't do that.
Well, why not? I mean, a very popular fellow that is Jewish that was in the top running. She didn't choose him. I mean,
precisely because
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the people
and
Ben
Shapiro would have been, I don't know that the outcome of the election would have changed,
right?
But Pennsylvania would have been like conceivably much closer had she chose him.
So the same people who are telling us as Republicans that we're racist and bigots, she basically admitted that she shouldn't choose 2 vice presidential candidates because of their
because you're
homosexual.
because you're racist
she's a racist
and
and
bigot.
bigot.
Exactly.
And I was like, dude, how does that work?
It's not about me. It's y'all.
It's
you racists and
y'all.
bigots. Why I can't choose this person.
Yeah, gosh,
I can't choose based off that. You got to love the logic. It's like it's all right there. It makes total sense if you really think about it.
It does. It absolutely makes total sense. But yeah, when I get into those points where I'm just kind of like dragging and not feeling the love of being in the Senate, and I'm up there and listening to, folks who have deeply held concerns, and I'm trying to do that, I just like, just take a breath and think about like maybe ladybugs or rainbows,
ladybugs,
flowers, things that
ladybugs on flowers.
Yes, and that makes me so happy too.
It does, see butterflies and roses and ladybugs, all the things
that make us happy. So, Dave, we only have a couple more minutes. Is there anything exciting happening that you need to tell the world?
Lord, no.
Okay, good.
But well, there are things that I find exciting that most people would not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll be watching college football tomorrow, so that's always exciting. But Panthers won a game. Let's not forget the Panthers won a game.
I know.
You didn't know. You had no idea.
I did know because I was watching, because I actually bet on Atlanta.
Oh no!
I just knew it. I knew. See, I've just got the.
So I don't hate that play. I don't, from a money standpoint.
The money line was like crazy.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I hate doing this. I even said it because we were at ECU or at in Belhaven, and I was like, I hate doing this, but I want to do it. But yeah,
but they won.
But they won.
And I don't think there'll be many more of them. But
because of the Panthers and because of our beloved Niners, I'm now down to $83 in my bank account, on my DraftKings account.
Only 83. Well, you can rebound. You can rebound. I'll send some plays your way for this.
Okay,
week.
send me some plays.
I'll send you some plays to lug in there. You know what? We're gonna do a parlay for you this week.
Okay,
you're gonna do a parlay. We're gonna.
I don't know what a parlay is, but we'll do it.
It's okay. You make more money, but more stuff has to happen.
Okay, well,
but I'll explain it.
All right.
Explain it. Thanks everyone for listening. Have a great weekend.
Say what you want.
Thank you for tuning in to We're Just Saying with Senator Vickie Sawyer and co-host David Coble. We appreciate your time and input as we discuss the issues shaping North Carolina. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we look forward to having you join us again next week for more updates and insightful conversations. Take care and keep participating in the conversation.